We are seeing a big drop off on Bitcoin today, along with some of our favorite miners. First of all, let's take a look here at the economic calendar. If you don't review this frequently, I really think that's something that you should be doing. It's the Market Watch economic calendar. It tells you what's going on every single day. So for today, Tuesday, March 19th, we got the housing starts and building permits. That's going to give us clues as to the housing supply going forward. Tomorrow, the big day, the FOMC meeting. Fed Chair Jerome Powell comes out and tells us the exact same thing he's been telling us for the last year, which is that he is data dependent and that we're not making any changes yet. But perhaps he may say something along the lines of we see cuts on the horizon like he has been saying, but he might be walking that back with the increase in inflation that we have seen. We'll see. We have also been seeing upticks in unemployment, which will lead to the Fed having to make a decision as to whether or not they are going to continue to fight inflation or if they're going to ensure that employment doesn't get out of control. I'll give you a little hint here. Employment is a lot more difficult to control than inflation. Inflation is something they can do slowly. Unemployment is something that is going that they need to react to very quickly if it gets out of hand. So tomorrow, everyone's going to be analyzing every single syllable of every single word that Jerome Powell says, trying to analyze whether or not that is dovish or hawkish, and the market's going to just be whipsawing up and down based on his pronunciation of the word the. So it's going to be crazy tomorrow. Don't get too startled by any movements, honestly, today or tomorrow. Honestly, I am looking at, and this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever, but I'm looking at today and tomorrow as potential buying opportunities with the large downward moves that we have been seeing. So let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually down over 6% today. That's pretty big. We got these nice, big, long-bodied red candles coming in March 16th and today. So that's not good. We got below a little red line here. Okay. So we are outside of this descending channel that I had drawn, and that was on the 2-hour. That inverse head and shoulders didn't play out. That's done now. Since it went below this red line, that is invalidated. So let's take a look at that. Yep. So that was invalidated as of 9 p.m. last night, really, 9, and then confirmed at 11 last night that it was definitely happening. Now, we got these long wicks on the bottom, meaning people were trying to buy this up, like it was trying to get bought up, but then at somewhere around 63,000, they just gave up and look at the current candle we're on. That's just disgusting. That's quite bad. So we are solidly beneath this line, and we've been solidly beneath that line for about 2 hours, almost 4 hours now. So this is going to stick for a bit. We might be revisiting this big old wick over here that took us all the way down to 59,000. So that is in the cards. That is potentially potentially could happen. Now, if we start crawling up here, I wouldn't get what I'm going to do when it starts to crawl back up again, because it will. So I'm going to draw a channel here. So I'm going to pick this one right here, this channel, like that. Take one of these channels and I'll just like put it there. And I won't expect this to be a breakout until it starts forming a channel like this and then breaks out above that channel. I'm just going to put that here for now because what you've been noticing since we've been in this downward move, anytime we get an upward channel, like right here on March 14th, when we went from 68,000 up to 72,000, we fell immediately back down to 66,000. And then we went from 66,000 up to 70,000 on this upward channel, and then we broke beneath that channel and we fell all the way down to 64,000. And then we went from 64,000 up to 68,000. Same thing repeated, right? We broke that upward channel here on March 18th at 7 a.m. And since we've broken that, we've been just falling down dramatically. We even broke the descending channel to get even more dramatic about it. Now we are oversold on the RSI. We are getting a VIX fix bottom here on my VIX fix indicator. So I am looking at this potentially starting to form that next little bear flag, to be honest, a bear flag, and then start coming down further from there, unless it breaks out and above whatever ascending channel it starts to form. I don't know if it's going to start to form here or not. I'm just putting this here for the sake of putting it here. But if you notice, price likes to do ascending channels, break to the downside, ascending channel, break to the downside. And then when we're on our way up, it'll look more like right over here, descending channel, break to the upside, descending channel, break to the upside, descending channel, break to the upside, descending channel, break to the upside. See how that likes to do it? Like stairs up and stairs down. That's sort of what we're looking at here and what we're waiting for. So currently, what could very easily happen on Bitcoin right now is we are on support right now. So we could find support here, move on up. Or if we get below, now this time it's 60,000. If we get below 60,000, put a new line down here. If we get under that one, we're going to touch the 50 SMA. We're going to come to the 50 SMA. That's just going to happen. Now, if you remember this line back here, this dotted line I've got on my chart on the left, which is following this upward trend, that was in accordance with the RSI divergence that I identified before. And all this downward movement is honestly just that RSI divergence playing out, like we talked about. So this was pretty predictable. I've been buying into this weakness, little bits, little increments at a time. I've been buying Bitcoin as it's coming down. So let's look at the miners. Digital had really good earnings yesterday, apparently. Now, apparently they also had losses, not gains, according to certain accounting standards, much like Mara did, but in fact, they went up instead of down off of that news. And today they are doing much better than their peers in the space, with only being down 1.38%. What I'm trying to get at with that is Mara seems to be the only Bitcoin miner that suffered as a result of their earnings. And if we remember, their earnings were on TradingView anyways, according to the new accounting standards, they were absolutely stellar. But they sold off dramatically as a result of those earnings, whereas every single other miner only gained benefit from the earnings using those new accounting standards. So that seemed a bit unfair towards Mara and a bit interesting. Didn't really care for it. I still feel like that's a little, conspiracy-y in that respect, as if it was manipulation of Mara. Anyways, we're going to continue on with Bit Digital here. We are down at 213. I have been accumulating down here at 213, just along this green line. Now, if this green line breaks, I'm going to have a really bad day. And that could happen tomorrow, could happen today. We'll see. I don't think so, though. We got a little up tick on this tail here. We just came right to the bottom of the previous candle and went back up here. This is quite precarious. There is some downside, and that downside is about $1.96, $1.95, 96. And if that breaks, about $1.70, 65, 70-ish, maybe even down to $1.50 if this megaphone breaks. Hope it doesn't. But if it does, honestly, I'll pick up more because I like what Bit Digital has been doing lately. I like that they've got their revenue streams actually producing money, that they've got the Ethereum staking. That's all quite good, and they're going to be, increasing their hash rate as well, keeping them semi-competitive in this space. So that's what's going on with Bit Digital. They're down less than 2% today. They are holding up better than their competitors. Mara is down 7.37% today. We're down $18, lower than $18 if we cannot hold $18. If we can't hold it. Okay, so if we get under 1746, we are going to go and visit 1650. 1650 doesn't hold. We're coming all the way down to 1459. So that is absolutely in the cards for Marathon. We could step all the way down to 1459 for the halving here. And this is the bleed off into the halving that I was talking about months and months and months ago, even before the run up in February that I did not anticipate. I was expecting this bleed off. Now in February, those expectations started to wane. I'm like, oh well, maybe it won't do it this time. That was dumb of me. I should have just known. Yeah, the seasons are gonna happen. Prepare for the seasons. I should have sold up here. I didn't. Oh well. What can you do? Now I'm down here waiting for the season to come back after the halving. That's basically what's going on here. And I'm using all of these as honestly, buying opportunities going into the halving here. So CleanSpark, that is down 9.5% today. That one's actually suffering one of the hardest today. Now, something that does interest me here in this chart, we are seeing a bit of an inverse head and shoulders now, a little one. So started here March 11th, 12th, and 13th, right? Right here is left shoulder. Head is the 13th to the 15th. And now we're forming another shoulder right now. That could be 2-3 days. Maybe by Thursday we'll start pulling out. That'd be interesting. That's a nice little bullish pattern that it's got going on here. Now, if we get above, now let me make that green because that one's nice. If we get above 17.95. Let's just call it $18. Let's just call it $18. Get above $18, we're looking at some very bullish movements there, if that ends up being the case. We are very low on the RSI. Volume, sell volume picked up today, but it has been dropping since March 8th. Volume has been coming down. The VIX fix hasn't found a bottom yet, so that's a little bit iffy in that respect. But as long as we stay above the $15, if we start curling back up on price here, that could be very good. Now, bad part of this formation is if we flip it on its head, it is a double top. Right? Anything could be bullish or bearish, just depends on how you're looking at it. Could be a double top. And if we get below $15, it's going to take us all the way down to $13.50. And if $13.50 doesn't hold, we're coming all the way down to 11 bucks. So keep that in mind on CleanSpark. We are down heavy today. Down heavy, 10.5% now. Wow. Mars down 8%. But Digital's now down almost 3%. Today's a rough day. So CleanSpark really needs to stay above that $15. If it starts curling back up and gets above 18, I'm going to say that was an inverse head and shoulders, little one. Anyways, if it gets below 15, I'm going to say that that was a double top. We're reactive here. We're not trying to predict. We're trying to react to what price is doing, and I'm looking at things that I could expect and what I think would happen if what I expected starts to play out. Now I'm going to have obviously a bull and a bear expectation at basically everything I'm looking at, with the anticipation of, okay, if this happens, then I'm expecting this to happen next, and we'll see it happen. And that's kind of how I'm reacting to these things right now. Let's look at the SMAs. We are not looking so good. Yeah, if we get under $15, we are going to touch the 200 the 200 SMA, which is going to meet us at 13.50. That is very likely going to happen if we get under $15. So we really need to stay over $15. Otherwise, 13.50, here we come. On CleanSpark. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms is also not doing terribly. It's down 3.59%. We're at $2.15. We're getting real close to my $2 target on this before starting to curl back up. We'll see. I think we're going to hit the $2, especially with FOMC tomorrow and us being so close to it. I think we're going to get our $2. Maybe a little bit lower than $2, and I think from there we're probably going to start seeing some momentum coming in, especially as the volume has been dropping dramatically as we approach $2. So $2 might be a really good buy on Bitfarms here at going forward. We'll see. RIOT, how's RIOT doing today? It's down 6.91%. We are back to the bottom underneath my little box here. We came down to this ascending trend line that I've got drawn here. We are hanging out basically on it. We need to come up a bit in order to stay inside of it. Otherwise, we are going to be having a really bad time on RIOT. And if it breaks down, if it breaks down, we're going to $9. 9.88, possibly to the bottom here, which would be $9. So we're going to about 9.80, 9.88, 9.87, or $9, depending on how strong this momentum is on the way down if we hold beneath this ascending trend line that I've got right there. So that's not super great on RIOT right now. Now, of course, there's much more upside than downside on RIOT currently, but this does all look pretty bad. We do need to get up and above $13 to get above the SMAs and start crawling back up, or perhaps shooting up like we did back in February 7th. Now let's take a look at IREN real quick. How are they doing this morning? Down -4%, not as bad as some of the others. It is still, their chart looks exactly like RIOT on Bitfarms, honestly. So not much to say there. Let's take a look at HUT. I think HUT probably looks a lot like Bit Digital, but it is actually forming a base lower than its previous support. So if HUT were to drop more, we would be looking at $6, and below that, $4. If it goes any lower than it currently is, $6 and then $4. And then on the upside, we really, really need to get above $9 on HUT, and then we might have a chance to shoot for the 200 SMA at 11.50. And that's really all we can say. Now, remember what I said earlier about descending and ascending channels? Notice how on HUT here, we've got a small descending channel by a big pop-up. Descending channel, big pop-up, descending channel, pop-up, and now we're in another descending channel. Are we going to pop up and hopefully make a higher high? Because right now we've been doing higher low, or lower highs, lower lows on HUT right now, looking like we're looking to try to go to about $6 on it. But if we can break out and above that, that would be that would frustrate that bear case. So that's the update for today. everything is dipping quite hard. Is this the opportunity to buy the dip before the halving? Only time will tell, but I can tell you that I am buying. Of course, that is not financial advice, nor a suggestion to buy or sell any assets whatsoever. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.